Hey, good morning, and welcome back to Life is Better with a Cigar, because it truly is. Today we're going to be reviewing the Oliva Master Blends number 3. I gotta admit, I'm apprehensive about this one, because I have tried 3 or 4 Olivas in the past, and I was not impressed with any of them. But they were all basic. They weren't the master blends, anything like that. I've been told good things about this one, so let's see. Got my trusty Hammersmith deep V cut. It smells good. It's very very earthy. Kind of reminds me of like hay or something like that. You know what I mean? It's got a little bit of that dried fruit sweetness, a little bit of that oak, but it's mostly reminds me of like a field of hay or something like that. I got my handy Hammersmith torch lighter. The draw is nice. It's not too excuse me. It's not too tight, you know, but it's got a little bit of resistance. It's not like pulling through a straw, you know what I mean, where it's just there's no resistance at all. But it's not bad. Flavor is okay at the beginning, anyway. Let's see. Getting a little bit of pepper on the back end. That's nice. I like that little bit of spiciness, you know. I'm getting like, don't be dumb. Like a creamy pepper, if that makes sense. Like it's got the creamy feel on my tongue, right? Like that creamy coating. But in terms of flavor, I'm mostly getting pepper. Not bad so far. I'm pleased with how this started, because I don't know if it's just that I haven't had good luck with the sticks, or yeah, I don't know, but I haven't been impressed with Oliva so far. depressed lately, man. Like, it's hard for me to find motivation to do anything, really, lately. And I know that part of it is the season. Like, winter kind of depresses everybody. But fuck, man. Like, I can't seem to find the motivation to do shit. I'm getting a little bit of... So I'm getting that earthy hay type flavor now, a little bit. I think it's more alfalfa than hay, really. In the flavor, anyway. Like the green alfalfa. It's interesting. I don't think I've come across that flavor before in a cigar. I'm not mad at it. Anyway. Yeah, so that's why I've kind of tapered. I know for the first couple of weeks I was posting regularly, and then for the last couple of weeks I've been kind of a while between videos, but that's why I've been fucking depressed, man. And like, I was thinking about pretending, like, or not necessarily pretending, but like kind of hiding the depression for these videos, you know what I mean? And just like acting like everything was fine and I'm a mentally well-adjusted individual, but there's no point. Like, I really feel like if anybody's watching this, you gotta understand that I am a human, just like anybody else on this damn app or on this site, and I am not by any means happy all the time. Fuck, overall, I'm a relatively angry individual. And, I mean, it is what it is, but I'm not gonna act like someone I'm not, you know? I'm enjoying this so far. More than I really thought I would. Oliva Master Blend number 3. I kind of dig it. Anyway. So I've had some, I've told quite a few stories thus far about when I was in the military. But I haven't really touched on any of the other jobs that I've had so far. You know, I've done a lot of different stuff. I've been everything from a commercial underwater welder to a pig farmer to a fucking weed farmer to a librarian. I've been fucking everything. You know what I mean? Trying to find something that holds my interest for a period of time. You know what I mean? Trying to find what I want to be when I grow up. I haven't quite found it yet. The current company that I work for, I love the company. Don't get me wrong. I love the company. I really enjoy working with and for the people I work with and for. My boss is super cool. His boss is super cool. The franchise owner is super cool. But the job itself fucking sucks. The money is there, right? Like, you put in the effort and you get paid, and you get paid well. So there's no complaints there. I just, fucking door-to-door sales sucks. Sales in general fucking sucks. Shit's exhausting. It's different if you're a naturally perky person. You know what I mean? Like, if you're naturally a people person. I am not. So, like, it takes effort to be nice to all these fucking homeowners. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't hate homeowners by any means. You know, I want to help them. If you walk up to a house that's got visible shingles missing, or like there's tarps up there, or fucking whatever, you want to help them, right? Like, obviously you've got leaks, or, you know, if you don't get it fixed soon, you will have leaks, right? Like, I want to help you. But if I walk up to the front door and either they're just immediate dickheads, or fucking I don't know, they're like, oh no, my roof is fine. Like, your roof isn't fine. Anyone with eyesight can walk out in your front yard and look at your roof and see that your roof is not fine. Getting a little bit of cocoa in the background now. I like that. And it's different. Like, if your roof is fucked up, but you're renting the house, and you have to go through your landlord to get all of this shit done, like, that's not on you necessarily, you know. But if you're the homeowner, or fuck, if you're the landlord, and you're like, oh no, I can get it done cheaper if I have, you know, Joe Handyman down the street get it done. Yeah, you can get it done cheaper. But going with the cheapest option's not necessarily what you want to do when it comes to something as important as your roof. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can get the neighbor kids to do your roof, right? Like, you can get the fucking, I don't know, you can probably bribe your neighbor with a case of fucking Bud Light to get to do your roof, but that doesn't mean it's gonna get done right. That doesn't mean that he's not gonna give you any kind of fucking guarantee. He's not going to work with your insurance company to get it paid for you. And even if he does help you make the claim, he's damn sure not going to fight them when they tell you no, they're not paying for it. So, I don't know. People are dumb, and I don't like them. This doesn't hold its ash very well. Like, it already fucking ashed. It tastes good though. I am pleasantly surprised with how it tastes. I'm still tasting a little bit of that earthiness, but that cocoa is coming through a little bit more. Cocoa and maybe vanilla. I like it. Oh, I didn't rate the flavor, the smell. So the smell is it's not super strong, right? Like, it's a lighter aroma than I have come across in quite a few other cigars. In most other cigars that I've dealt with, personally, this has a lighter smell than that. But it was a good smell. So, but honestly, like, it wasn't super memorable, you know? I remember enjoying it. Shit, it was only, what, fucking 10 minutes ago, maybe? 15 minutes, almost 15 minutes ago, according to the time I've been doing this video. It was almost 15 minutes ago, and I remember liking the smell, but I don't remember what it was. So I guess I got to factor forgettable or not particularly memorable into the rating for the aroma. So I'm gonna give it I'll give it a 6 for the aroma. It was pleasant, but it was forgettable. So I guess I'll give it a 6. People are dumb. Anyway, Anyway, I'm done talking about my current job for now. Going back through some of my old jobs, like, I've done a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and I had good times at all of the different jobs. That's not true. I absolutely hated my first job. I don't remember a single good time I had in my first job. So, I don't remember what the company was called. It has folded since then. But back when I was... Shit, this would have been 2003 or 2004. There was a company that was based out of the mall. And, or at least this particular location was in the mall. And you would go around with a clipboard, and you would ask random people if they wanted to take a survey. And then, if they said yes, you would take them back into the store. You'd sit them down with the survey, blah 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 blah, blah, whatever. You know, there was different ones for different demographics. Excuse me. You know, teenagers or 30 to 45-year-olds or fucking whatever, men, women. There was different demographics for different surveys, and then depending on the survey itself, you could get paid. You know, it might be, I'll give you $5 for $5 of your time, or 5 minutes of your time, or, you know, this survey pays $20. You know, go get some lunch or fucking whatever. I hated that job. I hated every second of that job. There was not a single good time to be had. My boss was a bitch. The job itself was terrible. Like, you'd get cussed out more often than you'd get anybody to come take a damn survey. I don't know. It was just a terrible job. So I had that while I was in high school. But since then, every job I had there were good times. You know what I mean? Like, there was fun to be had, at least for a while, until I got tired of it and started to look for something else. Let's see. Right after that, I went into the Army. I was Army National Guard for a while. I think I've talked a little bit about that. But because that's only one weekend a month, you know, that's not enough to live on. And I was living in my car for a while during that point. So I had to have another job. So I ended up working for Home Depot in the receiving department. So I was the one unloading the trucks in the back. And that wasn't bad. It was an overnight position. Or it was second shift. So so I was working from like an hour before closing until, I don't know, it was like probably midnight or 1 a.m. So it wasn't a full graveyard shift, but it was second shift, I guess. I think that's what they call it. That was okay. I was mostly left alone to do my job. You know, I'm getting more pepper to go with that. So the chocolate or the cocoa flavor is still there, but I'm getting like a peppery backside. It's an interesting conversation, or interesting combination. Not bad. Better than the other Olivas I've had, that's for damn sure. What was I? Home Depot. So that job was decent. That job was decent for a while. I eventually ended up getting fired for my temper, because like I said, I came in like an hour before closing, and customers are dumb. They are. Customers are fucking retarded. They were always asking stupid questions, and like they say there's no such thing as a stupid question, but that really only applies like in high school. Out in the real world, there are lots of things as stupid questions. Lots of stupid questions. So I was restocking. Let's see. I didn't have a truck that was in just yet, so I was out stocking shelves. And let's see. Oh, okay, so I was stocking the little cans of touch-up paint I was stocking the cans of little touch-up paint in the paint department. And a customer came up, if I remember right, he was like a middle-aged man, middle-aged white dude, came up, and in all seriousness, he asked me, do I know where the painter's tape is? Or like do I know what aisle the painter's tape would be found on? And I just kind of looked at him confused for a second, like, are you fucking kidding me? And I looked up at the sign that was directly above my head that said paint department. And then I looked I looked in on the shelf that was like 3 feet to my left that had a full display of bright ass blue painter's tape. And then I looked back at him, And I said, "Are you fucking stupid?" And that was not the right way to approach that, obviously. That's not good customer service to ask customers if they're fucking stupid for asking stupid-ass questions. However, at the time, I felt that it was justified. So he went back. He got all huffy and fucking aggressive with me, and I said some shit back. I don't remember exactly what I said after that point, but it wasn't pleasant or polite, whatever it was. And at the end of the conversation, I ended up fucking throwing a can of that touch-up paint at him. Not like an overhead fucking baseball throw, but I kind of like you would pass a basketball. Like, "Are you fucking stupid?" And hit him in the chest with the can of touch-up paint. And I just walked away. And then he went up and talked to my boss. And at that point, I knew I was fucking fired. So I just left in the middle of my shift. I didn't even talk to my boss. I ended up going in like a week later to pick up my last check, and they were like I said, I knew I was fired. I knew I was fired. I knew I wasn't getting a fucking reference. That's for damn sure. So I just left. I left in the middle of my shift. I didn't tell nobody. I just fucking dipped. And I didn't call or text or go back in until like a week later. And went in and talked to my boss. I was like, "Yeah, I'm here to pick up my check." And he was like, "Where the fuck have you been?" I mean, he probably didn't phrase it like that, but that was the general attitude behind it. And I was like, I don't know. I figured I was fired, so I didn't come back. And he was fired like you are now for job abandonment, but you weren't fired before. He's like, "I was gonna write you up, but you weren't fired before. Like, we needed the help." I was like, "Oh, well, I'm fired now, so it doesn't really change anything." So, not my proudest moment, but up until that point, once the customers were all gone for the day, it was a chill job, you know. Not my proudest moment. You know, that's definitely not how I would approach it as an adult. But I was like fucking... I was like 18, 19. Old enough that I knew that's not how I should have handled it. Young enough to not really give a shit. So, I don't know. Live and learn, I suppose. So it hasn't really evolved much since a couple of minutes ago. I'm still getting that pepper. Pepper's gotten pretty forward flavor. Like the pepper's pretty prominent, but I'm definitely still getting the cocoa notes on the backside. It's nice. Like, it's not the greatest I've ever had, but it's decent. Yeah, I'm thinking this is probably it. So far, unless it does something crazy, unless the flavor does something crazy, unexpected, and gets absolutely delicious, or evolves in some crazy way I wasn't expecting. I'm gonna say right now it's probably at a 6.5. like a 6.5 for the flavor so far. And what I say, it was like a 6 for the aroma. Sounds about right. Composition is decent. It's held up nicely, other than the fact that it ashed right away. But it's holding the cherry pretty nice. It hasn't frayed or cracked or anything like that. It's burning, I don't know, relatively even, although not perfect. We'll see. Let's see, where else have I worked? I've worked as... So I've noticed that it's generally my temper that gets me in trouble. Excuse me. Like, I get bored at a job, and then I stop really caring, and then I stop censoring myself. And that's what gets me in trouble. And so these jobs, other than Home Depot and that survey job, the rest of the jobs, they're in no kind of chronological order. Like, I remember where I worked. I don't necessarily remember what order I worked in them in. So, but one of the most fun jobs I worked in, I made ice cream at this ice cream shop out in New York. Upstate New York. I wasn't in the city. That's too many goddamn people. But, so I was working at this ice cream shop in upstate New York, in the Finger Lakes region. And I was down in the basement making the ice cream. I was the production supervisor. And so the year before I worked there, they had gotten best. What was it? It was a big magazine. I forget exactly what magazine it was, but it was a big magazine that did like best ice creams in the country or something like that. Shit, I think it might have been like Time or something. So like a big magazine. And the year before I worked there, they had gotten rated best ice cream in the Finger Lakes region of New York. So that was pretty cool. You know, we had a great reputation. Put out some banging ice cream. But anyway, so I was the production supervisor there. It was me. It was usually just me that was on my shift. But the guy that worked on the opposite shift as me, he reported to me. I told him what to do and everything like that. I was his boss. That was a cool job. I quite enjoyed it. I got left alone. I was down in the basement, so not really anybody fucking came and talked to me. I didn't have to deal with customers. I was just left to do my thing. Like, my boss made a list, like a daily list. Okay, like, this is what ice creams we're running low on. Like, this is what we need. And I was like, all right, cool. So I figured out, like, what was needed the most, or, like, what the priorities were. And I made those flavors. I went home with, you know, I set aside like a quart. So I made like 25-gallon No, I didn't. No, they were like 10-gallon containers, not like drums. I mean, not like crates or anything like that. I think they were the big circular corrugated drums, I guess. But they were in like barrels. Barrels is the word I was looking for. But they were in like 10-gallon barrels. And every batch of ice cream I made came out to like 3 or 4 of these barrels, if I remember correctly. And out of that, I would set aside like a quart to take home for myself. Whether it was strictly allowed or not, I don't know. But nobody ever said shit to me. But it was delicious ass ice cream, man. We made all kinds of delicious flavors, like, and not necessarily all of the flavors were common. Like we made vanilla and chocolate and mint chocolate chip and fucking strawberry and all the basic flavors. But we also made seasonal flavors. Like we made a honey vanilla ice cream, or no, a honey lavender ice cream. That was absolutely fucking delicious. We made it with fresh lavender. There was a lavender farm that was not too far, just like a couple of towns over or whatever. And we used their lavender flowers, like when they were obviously in season or whatever. Excuse me. So that was one of our seasonals, and that was a big seller. That shit was delicious. That really is what gave me my taste for lavender type foods. You know, like I love lavender tea, lavender ice cream. At home, I have a pepper grinder that's got. Actually, I think I just ran out, but it's one of the pepper grinders, and it's got like a lavender pepper mix, like a blend. It's got lavender and pepper and a couple other things in it, and that shit's fucking delicious, man. But that's that. So that was one of my favorites to make, but we only made that once a year. And that sold out pretty quick. We also made like a jalapeno popper ice cream that had like chunks of jalapeno. It had. Dang, stop that.
Yeah.
My music decided to start playing. Yeah, we made like a jalapeno popper ice cream. Yeah, it had little bits of jalapeno, like it had cornbread bits in it. It had cream cheese mixed in. It was fucking good, dude. It was so good. That was another big seller. That was seasonal. I think we did that one usually like June, July was when we made that, and that sold really well. That was super fun. I really enjoyed that, you know. But it got to the point where I wasn't learning anything. Like it was just business as usual every time I came in. I wasn't learning anything new. I wasn't really advancing. I had no desire to become a manager or anything like that. So there was no promotions that were going on. or that were happening. So I got bored, you know. And when you get bored, you stop filtering yourself. So I was training this new guy, and I don't remember any of the fucking names of these people. It's been like a decade. So, but I was training this new guy. He was cool, and we would, while we were making the ice cream, you know, we were in the basement away from all the customers, so we'd just be pumping music. And it all depended on our mood or whatever. But we'd listen to everything from fucking Disney to Eminem to Backstreet Boys to fucking whatever. It didn't matter. We'd listen to whatever. But anyway, so one day I remember, me and him are down and we're making ice cream. We're bumping Eminem, and this random lady walks into my production room, and like immediately I've never met this lady before. So she comes in, she walks in and the first words out of her mouth were, "You need to turn this music off." And I looked at her and I was like, "And who are you?" Like, I've never fucking met you. I don't know who you are. She said, "I said you need to turn this music off and you need to do it right now. Like, you can get the fuck out of my production room. Like, you have nothing, you have no control or no authority over me. Like, what the fuck are you doing in my production room? This is an off limits area." She was like, "Oh, I'm so and so." Like, okay, that doesn't tell me anything. Oh, see, it ashed again. It doesn't hold the ash very well. It seemed to hold the cherry pretty well so far, but not the ash. But anyway, so she's got this whole attitude, like, "Bitch, I don't know you. Get the fuck out of my production room." And like, I look over at the dude I'm training, and I'm like, "Do you know this lady?" And he's like, "No, I've never seen her." So like, "Get the fuck out of my production room. Go back upstairs." And so my boss, the store manager, walks in. So this lady leaves and then walks back in, I don't know, 2 minutes later with my boss, the store manager. And I don't remember her name, but for the sake of the story, we'll call her fucking Emily, I guess. But she was cool. She was the only person she answered to was the owner. And then the only person I answered to was her and the owner. So, but anyway, so this lady walks in and she's got Emily right behind her. And Emily walks in fucking confused. She's like, "What's going on?" And the lady goes, "Well, I told him he needs to turn off the music, and he's refusing." And I was like, "Emily, do you know who the fuck this lady is?" And she was like, "Yeah, she's the new, she's one of the new shift managers, or one of the new shift supervisors over the serving area." And I'm like, "Okay. Like, I don't answer to her, so why is she in here yelling at me?" And so she goes, the other lady goes, "Well, I'm in charge of the store when I'm in charge of the store when Emily's not here, and you need to turn this music off. And Emily looks at her, or so I look over at Emily and I'm like, what the fuck? And Emily looks at this lady and she goes, you know, I don't walk in here and start making demands, right? Like, this is his area. You have no control here. Like, you have no authority over him. She's like, well, and she's like, no. Like, end of statement. You have no control. You have no authority down here. Go back upstairs and deal with what is actually under your area, and keep that running smoothly. And I'm like, fucking get out of my production room. Why are you even here? She didn't last long, but in fairness, I probably only lasted about another month before I quit. Alright, so the cherry wanted to go on. It didn't quite, but it tried. It doesn't pair well with strawberry apricot Red Bull. In case you were wondering, it doesn't pair very well. You son of a bitch! The cherry did go out. But that was a cool job. You know, I had fucking all the ice cream I could eat for free. Like, it got to the point where my girlfriend at the time was like, stop bringing ice cream home. Like, we don't have any more freezer room. Stop bringing ice cream home. Whatever. But no, that was a cool job until you know what I mean? Like, you stop learning, you stop doing anything new, and it's the same. Oh, I didn't realize that it's time to merge here. My bad. Let me over. Okay, my turn taking on. But anyway, so it was a cool job until I got bored, so I ended up quitting. Where else have I worked? I worked on a pot farm for a while out in Arizona. That was interesting. It wasn't a great job. It paid okay, you know, for the area. But I don't know. My boss was kind of a dickhead. I was in the sanitation department, so like we would. There was different areas. There was the actual greenhouses, and there was like the packaging area, and the quality control area, and like the harvesting area, blah 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 blah. Like where the drying rooms, and I was in sanitation, so all of the big plastic totes and stuff that they'd use in the different areas, after they were done, you know, the drying racks and things like that, after they were done using them, we'd clean and sanitize them, you know, pressure wash them and whatnot, get them clean for the next group that needed them. It was okay. It was not great, but, and I didn't even get free weed out of it. You know what I mean? Like, you would think that working at a pot farm, you'd at least get some free weed, but no. I mean, they didn't drug test or anything, which was... That would be dumb. That would be dumb if a pot farm drug tested. As long as you got your job done, they didn't give a shit if you were high at work or not. So that was nice. Not that I'm condoning being high at work, because I don't condone that at all. Starting to get like a creamy leather type flavor coming through. Not bad. Not bad, not bad. So I got fired from the pot farm for making a stupid joke. Like, okay, so I got there in the morning, and I met up with one of my buddies in the parking lot, and like we're walking into work, and you got to pass security, and we were talking about the guys who work in the greenhouse specifically, and they were fucking dumb. Hang on. Pause. This guy's working on the road, and I'm trying not to hit him. But anyway, so I'm working with. We were talking about the guys who work in the greenhouse, and they'd been putting out some really shitty products lately. Like they weren't keeping up on the nutrients, and like there was a bunch of bug problems, and etc. Like they were just putting out a really subpar product. And so we were talking about it, and it was all stuff that was like under their control. You know what I mean? Like if something crazy happens, you got like some nasty plague that just runs through it and kills everything before you could really react. That sucks for sure. Not really under your control. But if you've got like an aphid problem, or like you're putting out flour that's got mold all over it, or you know, you're letting it get nutrient burn or something like that, that is all under your control. You could account for that and fix the problem, right? Anyway, so we were me and my buddy we were talking about it, and as we're passing through security, scanning our ID cards and whatnot, I was kind of friends with the guy who was scanning our ID cards, and I was like, hey dude, like, why don't a lot of the people that work here give a fuck about their jobs? Like, why? Do you have an answer for that? Like, because we're kind of scratching our heads, like, why don't people give a shit about their working here? And he was like, fuck man, I don't know. Like, he just kind of brushed it off. And then as we're walking away, one of the other security people, she stands up and like she calls over to us like, are you talking about me? Like, we weren't. But so that's what it was. Like, I didn't even stop walking. I kind of turned around and was walking backwards, and like, we weren't talking about you, but if the shoe fits, like, what do you want me to do about it? I didn't even see you sitting there. And I thought that was the end of it. But later that afternoon, my boss calls me into the damn big boss's office, and I get fucking fired. And they were like, yeah, you were talking shit to security, and Oh, that's it. So it was me, my boss, the big boss, and the head of security. We were all sitting in the big boss's office, and I already had beef with the head of security because he thought he was fucking God's gift, and I refused to fucking drop to my knees and bow every time he walks by. You know what I mean? Like, he got mad because I wouldn't fucking suck him off every time he wanted me to or whatever. You know, he thought he was the greatest guy in the fucking world, and I refused to treat him as such. So he had an attitude already. But so I get pulled in, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you've got a constant attitude with the security personnel, and you've been talked about it before." And I was like, "When the fuck have I been talked about it before? I've never once been talked to about this so-called attitude problem." I said, "And if I'm sitting in here, like, you're gonna let me tell my side of the story, right?" And, "Oh, there's no need to hear your side of the story. Like, I trust the security, blah blah blah, whatever." And I was like, so I got fired, which was fucking dumb. Like, I was pissed about it. Not because I really gave a shit about the job, but because I need a job. You know what I mean? Like, I have a family to feed. I need to be bringing in a paycheck, and that pot farm was the biggest employer in the area. So, man, see, so this thing is fucking constantly ashing when it doesn't hold the ash for shit, which is frustrating. Yeah, so I got fired from them, which was shitty. I'm starting to get almost like a walnut flavor. You know what I mean? Like that oily, it's got like that oily, like almost bitter taste, but it's like a good bitter. That's what I'm starting to get. And it evened itself out in terms of the burn. It's nice. It is nice. God, but that's a terrible pairing. Whatever. I worked as a commercial diver / underwater welder. That was pretty cool. That was good money when I was working. But I wasn't working all the time. So, excuse me. So, when I was learning to weld, I went to PTTI, which is the Philadelphia Technical Training Institute, or Technician Training Institute, something like that. It was basically like a trade school, like community college setting in Philly. Speaking of, I haven't had a good cheesesteak since I lived in Philly, but a lot of places try and they fuck it up and it annoys me. But that's unrelated. Excuse me. But anyway, so while I was going there, while I was attending that school, I was starting to learn. I already knew a little bit on how to stick weld. I wasn't good at it, but I knew a little bit. And then I learned MIG and flux core while I was there. I like welding, man. I do. I'm way out of practice because it's been years since I've done it, but I do enjoy it. I need to get back in it. But anyway, so I was starting to learn TIG welding, which is quite a bit different. So with stick welding, you've got welding rods, which you run the current through, and then the rod itself acts as the filler metal to weld them together, right? And then once you're done with the rod, you got to change it out for a new rod. Excuse me. MIG and flux core welding are similar to each other in that there's a hose with like a I don't want to call it a gun, but that's kind of what it was on the end. And the hose feeds a wire through it. And the welding gun hole has protective gases that run through it and to protect the weld. And what are you doing? Why are you waving at me? Anyway, they're very similar to each other in that it runs a wire through it, and the wire becomes the filler metal. But TIG welding is a little bit different in that there's two pieces, right? You've got the gun that runs the current through it and the protective gas, and then in your other hand you're holding a TIG rod that you have to continually feed into the weld as you are, excuse me, as you're running the current. And I'm explaining this really badly, but anyway, so the instructor for TIG welding, TIG is hard. TIG is very, very difficult because you have to stay like rock steady in order to get a nice bead out of it. But if done right, TIG welding is beautiful. But anyway, so the TIG welding instructor, I don't know his real name, but everybody called him Pops. And he actually retired from welding for NASA before he became a welding instructor. So the dude was crazy talented. So anyway, we cops up here. Where was I going with that? Oh, so Pops was crazy talented, and but he was old. Like he was probably in his late 70s when I was learning from him, and he had pretty bad Parkinson's, which makes it, which you would think makes it difficult to TIG weld when you have have to have a steady hand. But so he had crazy Parkinson's up until he grabbed that TIG rod, and then it was rock steady. Like he was steady, 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 steady. And then as soon as he was done with that TIG rod, as soon as he went to grab another TIG rod, he started getting the shakes again. I don't know. It was just interesting how that happened. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. This it wasn't bad. This Oliva wasn't bad. Oliva Master Blend number 3. It was decent. Aroma, I gave it a 6, I believe, because I remember it smelled good, but it was forgettable. I don't remember what it smelled like. Like it was pleasant, but immediately forgettable. The flavor was decent. It evolved relatively nicely. I'm gonna give it like a 6.5 flavor wise. I'll give it a 7 for flavor, because it had nice chocolate notes. It had nice leather notes. Towards the end, it started to give me that walnut flavor. It evolved nicely. I'm gonna give it a 7. And for the composition was nice, man. Other than the fact that it ashes really easily, like the ash itself wasn't solid, didn't hold together well, whatever. It burned relatively even. The cherry did go out one time. I had to relight it. So it loses points for that. Sorry, I'm a little distracted because people are getting out. I'm stopped in traffic. There's cops up ahead. I don't know what's going on. I can't see shit. So it burned easily. The draw was decent. It didn't fray or crack or unravel. But I did have to relight it once, and the ash was very flimsy and didn't hold. So I'm gonna give it, again, I'm gonna give it a 7. I'm gonna give it a 7 for composition. I'll give it a 6.5 for composition because I had to relight it. So 6 for flavor plus, or excuse me, 6 for aroma plus 7 for flavor is 13 plus 6.5 for composition. So 13 plus 6.5 is 19.5. Shit. So 6.5 overall, right? 6 is 18. Half is 1.5. So yeah, so 6.5 overall for the Oliva Master Blend number 3. Anyway, thanks for watching and listening to me ramble, reminisce, and whatnot. Oliva Master Blend number 3, 6.5 overall score. As always, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, and we'll see you next time.